Thanks to At Home for joining us for exclusive coverage and footage that you will see nowhere else tonight. We have been entrusted with introducing you to two Americans whose bravery has been tested and proven in combat, whose capacity for dealing with incredible stress, physical stress and psychological stress, has been proven in thousands of flight hours as U.S. military fighter pilots. Two men whose career trajectories in the military look like the path of a fighter jet taking off, frankly. They are very successful active duty military. They say they are fed up with what everyone keeps saying are the death throes of a policy that says they must be witch hunted and fired from the only career either of them has ever known. A policy that remains in place today, despite mass confusion caused by a federal court striking it down. Please watch. You are an F-16 fighter pilot, multiple deployments, including combat missions in Iraq. You've got not only a very impressive military career behind you, you have what seems to be a very impressive military career ahead of you. Why risk even this much coming out? Why is it important for you to talk about this now?
I think that the reason why now is I've seen us come so close, and with Don't Ask, Don't Tell, to getting it repealed, and it's like the carrot that's there in front of you, and we can't quite reach it, and you can only sit on the sidelines for so long. It's not in my nature. I think most military members, it's not in our nature to sit on the sidelines and have someone else fight for us. So I've always wanted to get into the fight and do a little bit more with the constraints that are obviously in place right now. So that was really important to me to do what I can to put a face on the issue. And I know there's other people that have come before me and will come after me that will do the same thing. And I think the more people who do that, the harder it is to argue against it. It's easy to be against an idea or to be bigoted against an idea, but it's a lot harder to do that when you actually know a person.
You've been in a long-term relationship, and I know that's one of the reasons that you wanted to talk about the impact of Don't Ask, Don't Tell on you personally. What's important for people to understand about how the policy affects somebody who's in the military who does have a same-sex partner?
I hear a lot of times that people say Don't Ask, Don't Tell works. I think they're not thinking beyond. They're not thinking broad enough in that and I like to equate it to for their spouse. If they were told that they can't be seen with their spouse in public, or if they are, they're constantly wondering, I'm constantly with this person. What are people going to start saying? I can't show any affection in the supermarket, not even at home, because who knows if my next door neighbor is military or knows someone who knows someone. So you're just it's an emotional strain to constantly live that life. So again, I equate it to if you would ask a heterosexual couple to completely hide every aspect of their relationship at work and in their personal life, and then have them tell me if that works for them. And nobody would say it would work for them.
To the extent that it doesn't work for you, that strain is not just present but building over time as you have this long-term relationship, you've lived this closeted life in the military. Are you considering leaving the military because of the policy? Is that contributing to a sense that you can't do this as long as the policy is in effect?
It is hard because I've been in for several years, and it's crossed my mind that if this doesn't happen soon, that I can't emotionally keep going on, and then also the impact of by virtue of being in the military, we move around a lot, so I'm asking my partner to move around a lot as well, where he would like to start a career and he can't as long as we're under this pressure. Whereas if Don't Ask, Don't Tell was overturned, I would have a lot of some other options available, hopefully to allow us to live a more complete life that we just don't have right now. So yeah, if it doesn't, it would definitely contribute to me just saying, well, I've had enough.
In terms of deploying and being in a relationship, how did you deal with the logistics of that? How did you deal with the responsibilities of that?
When you deploy, spouses have a lot of support back home. One of the things, they get to say goodbye. I didn't get that luxury. I don't other than in private at home, but he did not get to come out and see me goodbye, did not get to see me come home. My partner had medical issues at the time that were pretty serious, and I didn't know how to deal with that either. Again, who would call me if something happened, and to him, and who would call him if something happened to me? I was going integrated with an Army unit at the time into Fallujah, Iraq, and it was a Wild West, and I had no idea what to expect. So I knew it was going to be dangerous, and I didn't know how he would be taken care of if something happened to me, God forbid. But one thing that did happen, with his medical issues, and fortunately I didn't find out until after I got back, but he was on the table and had to be basically paddled back to life.
Wow.
His heart has stopped. I didn't know that. He didn't tell me that.
You found out about it once you got home?
Once I got home. If that had been someone's spouse, they would have been flown home immediately to be with them. There's nothing I could do. If he died, I'd have had to finish out my tour, or risk getting kicked out of something that I've always wanted to do, something I've always loved doing, defending the country, defending the people of this country, and just doing something I love to do just because of that one fact. And now someone potentially, someone very close to me was on a table in a hospital and I couldn't be with them.
How did you deal with the prospect of you being injured or killed in action while you were in Iraq? How did you deal with trying to make sure that he would be notified if anything happened to you?
I struggled with that because we'd only been together a few months, so I didn't know quite how it worked. The military didn't have anything set up to where I could make sure that he would be notified. I wasn't out to any of my friends or family at the time, so I couldn't tell them. The only thing I could do is I wrote a letter to my best friend and sealed it and sent it to him, and he was to open it if something happened. And that basically laid everything out and explained everything to him.
But you weren't out to him at the time?
I was not out to him at the time, right.
So if something had happened to you, he'd be opening a letter, a sealed letter that said, "Don't open unless something happens to me," and that's how he would have learned?
Right.
Doesn't seem like a very good system.
No, it doesn't work for me, and doesn't work for a lot of people, unfortunately.
Have you been able to come out to friends or family or anybody in the military since then?
In the military, no, other than mutual friends who happen to be gay or lesbian as well.
You're out to other gay service members?
With the exception of my friend who's straight, and he's been great with it. But other than him, that would be it.
Do you think that if Don't Ask, Don't Tell was repealed, that you would tell everybody? How would you handle it?
I don't think anybody would still know. I think the majority of the members in the military are going to go into work the next day and keep doing their job just the way they have all along. But what we won't have to worry about is the what if. What if someone finds out? If the discussion comes up about, hey, what did you do last weekend? Why didn't you go out with us? And I can tell them, and without worrying about my career. So it's going to allow me to be more open when the discussions are there. But for me personally, and some people may be different, but I don't see me coming in the next day at work and waving a rainbow flag.
My interview today with an active duty combat veteran, U.S. Air Force F-16 fighter pilot. We agreed to shield his identity because of the don't ask, don't tell policy, which remains in effect despite a lot of controversy about that. More ahead.